Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Matthew. He's OK Stewart, as well as joining me is Bryce Ejim, the God Paul. We're about to get into the third game between Abyss as well as Avant Gaming.
Yeah, pretty excited to see how this one pans out. Very good games in Game 1 and Game 2 from the alternating sides in their victories. I think they were pretty clean. Sybil, that game, really turned it around from his Game 1 performance, had a bit of a shocker, and then Game 2 really punished Luch in the mid lane and set them up for success.
Yeah, it certainly did. I mean, it's been one-sided affairs in Games 1 and 2. Hopefully Game number 3 will be a little bit more back and forth between AV and AE, because these two teams, AV are trying to push for top of the ladder. Abyss have not had a good season so far. A win over AV here could push them up towards, closer towards playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like most people would consider AV to be a better team, as we saw in the predictions, but Abyss are really leaving their mark on this series here. They are saying that, like, you know what, like, we are one of the middle of the pack, potentially like upper middle, like I don't know how many classifications you can chuck in there, sort of thing, but they're definitely putting a mark on this and saying, look, we are contenders, we can take AV, and then on the AV side of the coin, they're the team that's like, look, we are a middle pack team and we want to push into the top, right? So like, so AV and Abyss 1-1 in the series.
They are. You ran out of things to say, right? You were going. I was waiting for it. You had a train of thought. You just stopped. You're like, well, I'm on one now.
I jumped off the train.
Don't jump off the train. It moves at a fast speed. You will die.
I'm on the hype train though. I want a good game 3. This one. I want this game. I want to see Blinky
and
Kalista.
AV hype
Yeah,
train?
I'm on both sides of the train. You know.
Boy.
I want to see Blinky Kalista upstairs. He was eating lunch prior to the game, and I was sitting down, and he was just like, I was like, "What are you going to play today?" And he looks at me with his shit-eating grin, and it's just like, Kalista. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm excited. He hasn't got it yet.
Let's see if he gets Kalista in this match. And you were right, by the way. Last game, Jake ran gold per 10.
Ooh.
Yellows and Quints.
Oh, that's great. That is so great. I hate him. That's so greedy.
And they destroyed Raid and Rosie
They
on
did.
the Thresh Kalista lane, which you said beats Janna Caitlyn.
It should.
He had gold per 10 Quints and yellows, and they still lost Siege. I don't know if that speaks about the matchup enough.
That's the kind of thing where Rosie is going to look back on that game, look at the match histories, and check out the runes that he was running and be like, I can't believe I lost to this Muppet with gold per 10 Quints and yellows.
Well, meanwhile, in this match so far, we're not going to get Blinky on Kalista in the series as well, because it is Varus that gets locked in for him. Xayah was the first pick from Abyss, with Jace, Galio, and Kha'Zix banned out by them. Cho'Gath, Elise, as well as Caitlyn, banned out by AV.
And this is a repeat of the Game 1 matchup, and the Varus into the Xayah didn't look too good. The desk, in response to a tweet that came in about tanks, was talking about hyper carries coming back. We've seen internationally, Caitlyn, Xayah, Kalista are considered the best AD carries. Caitlyn is banned and Xayah was first picked, and we've seen a lot of Kog'Maw into Kalista, into Xayah overseas. Obviously, Blinky didn't want to pick that one up here. Opts in for the Varus again, and Sybil picking up the Gragas again. Potentially for him, potentially flexed into series in the top lane again. We'll see how they go with that one. So
Seb's going to have another Maokai game today. That get locks in for Abyss. Gragas was taken away by AV. We've seen both Series and Sybil play it in the past, and it's still very strong flex pick. Sin like to pick it up as soon as they can in a draft phase.
He's just a very easy champion to draft. You can just pick him early. You don't show much about your comp. You can flex him into top lane. You can play him jungle. He has good ganks. He has decent scaling. He's just a very good CC all around tanky jungler. And we do get to see a Xayah Rakan matchup. So I'm interested in what Jacob will pick into it. I'm predicting most likely something like the Braum. Traditionally fairly good into the Xayah. You can block her feathers. You can block the root, as I do pick it up. If he opted into a squishier matchup, potentially like Nami, Janna, Zyra, something to look to punish the Rakan lane, there's always a potential of once they hit 6, Rakan W ulti immediately blows you up. So they do opt for a safer pick.
You don't get many of those mage supports anymore. Meanwhile, AV ban out Kassadin straight away here. Good signal they want to pick up Corki nice and early for triple. But we'll have to see.
Potentially that. They do ban away the Sejuani, so they are reflexing the Gragas flex here. They're banning away the stronger junglers. They've got the Maokai. The Cho'Gath is already banned from AV, so the three new tank junglers, I say new and they're all actually really old, but the new tank junglers are banned away already.
They have been. Cassiopeia is the next ban from AV. Another good pick into the Corki. So that should be Corki's first pick of the mid lane, but we'll have to see.
And both teams really just haven't shown much. This is a very standard draft from both sides. They've both just picked up their bot lane, very strong bot lane in the Xayah Rakan, and then a fairly decent, safe answer, as we said, in the Braum Varus. So, and both teams have just picked up a flex jungler. So literally both teams with almost identical drafts here. They do ban away the Echo, though, so potentially Syndra pick again.
Very
coming
strange
from
ban,
triple.
though. Because AV have the chance to pick up something here, and they go for the Zac.
He's a small green blobbled man, Jim.
Is that the voice you wanted?
It was the voice I wanted. Now that I've heard it, I don't know if I wanted it anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, once I've got it, I'm like, oh, okay. But anyway, it's probably better than my British accent, but...
I don't know. Twitter says otherwise.
In saying the Zac, there's no Janna pick away here. They've already locked in the Rakan, so Sybil on the engages shouldn't be getting punished too hard here, as they do opt in for the Jarvan in the top lane.
Picks up for Pabu. Top laner for AV is going to be that Gragas pick. Holding mid lane for last for triple. Luch has to show his hand here. Has to pick something up. Could go towards the Syndra with that Echo ban. And Triple is one of the well-known Echo players on the server.
Yes, actually, one of the few. A lot of the what was they do opting for the blind? That's a fairly interesting blind pick.
Vladimir picked up for Luch. And a matchup that does go well here is the Orianna, one of Triple's favorite champions.
And he does hover it immediately, probably going to lock that one in. On the AV side of the coin, if they do lock in that Orianna, they have such easy engage again. They have, last game they had the Sedge, the Gragas. This time they have the Zac, the Gragas again. They've got the Ori Ball to follow. They do switch over to the Corki. 3 seconds left.
Yep, that's going to be to pick up a choice for Triple here. Even changed out towards Teleport. So double TP being run by the Avant Gaming lineup.
And interestingly, both of these comps want to go in. Vlad is a backline dive champion, so is Jarvan. And then on the other side, you've got the Zac and the Gragas, and even the Rakan in the bottom lane. Both teams have a very decent engage. Abyss do have better follow-up with the Maokai ulti, with the Xayah ulti into the root. So team fights will be very quick, I suspect, in this game. If people get picked off early, like the punishes from either side will be very swift.
It's going to be a fun match here to decide the series between Abyss as well as Avant. 1-1, all tied up. AV came in as clear favorites, but most people back at home were voting for this to be a 2-1, going in AV's favor. It still could be. They definitely have a strong draft going into this one. Abyss is small. They've thrown another curveball, but something we've seen a little bit more often in the OPL, which is going to be that Maokai in the jungle.
And just becoming more and more standard now. We've seen a lot of it this morning in the LCS, and was very highly prioritized. A lot of first picks this morning, and yeah, they picked it up again here. I feel like the bot lane for Abyss is much stronger. The Braum into this matchup is just a negate pick. It's like Tahm Kench into Thresh. You don't have much pressure, but you have the ability to stop them engaging on you. So I would look to see Abyss play around that pressure in the bot side of the map again. Their bot lane, first game played very well, had a very good performance on the Rosie Bard. Second game didn't do an awful lot. The very cheesy, very greedy gold gen Janna had the best of them. But so yeah, I would look to see Seb play through his bot lane here.
Rosie's now back on Rakan, one of the more playmaking-based supports that are in the current meta. We saw you play that last night. Very strong, not only with Xayah, but with other AD carries, such as Kalista. So curious to see if he's going to have a similar performance to his game one on the Bard.
He does have the Ignite. And I'd be interested if the observers click on Rosie. I want to see how much AP he actually has. Because Xayah Rakan, if they both level W, because of the synergy, Xayah gives Rakan, I think it's 15% more attack speed. So they actually do so much damage. They are literally the best level 1 bot lane in the game. Into something like the Braum, very easily punishable, and the Varus, who's very immobile. If they get a level 1 trade-off in the first wave, they will literally kill Blinky if he doesn't flash heal away. So
we'll have to see.
SKT Zac.
What do you think of the Santa Gragas?
Santa Gragas.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like Series has stolen it. That's a Carbon skin. Carbon is the OG Santa Gragas. Jake has opted for a Chroma Pack Braum. That's a respectable choice. And Rosie doesn't have a skin. No, okay, that's abysmal. What are you doing? Doesn't opt for Surama Rakan. As both teams are just looking to fan. Nothing too interesting happening in level 1.
Show off their skins. But Sybil's going to start on his Raptor camp again. We'll get a small leash coming out from the Gragas. Triple might throw a Frost Bomb over the wall as well. Does just that.
Pabu's going to poke his head around, see if he can steal a few, but Series is probably just going to chase him off. Yeah, he doesn't even bother.
Big leash. Helping out Sybil there. We'll be able to clear out that Raptor camp nice and easy and hit level 2. Mid lane, Luch against Triple. Vladimir should have a fine time against the Corki to kick things off.
And both of the bot lanes didn't leash this game, which is fairly interesting in a... I'm going to call Rakan a melee champion just because he's like kind of pseudo-melee in the wall, and he does get the W, but...
Good knock up. Jake's just charging forward though, making sure the Raid can't chase back, but Blinky and Jake don't take a good trade.
Yeah, Raid chooses not to follow up, potentially used his abilities on the wave to try and get the push, but they're losing it anyway. But yeah, both these junglers don't get a leash in this melee versus melee bot matchup, so fairly interesting. Different to what they've done the last 2 games.
Let's see, because it's going to be a rush for level 2 here. Currently, Blinky as well as Jake are in the lead. We'll tap out. Raid and Rosie tick shortly after.
And honestly, like, now that the level 1, the level 2 is out of the way, this lane won't be very interesting until level 6. Both of them spike with the 6. The Braum ulti, the Braum shield is going to block a lot of the poke away from Raid. Rosie may poke his head in, look for a cheeky W here and there, but Blinky should be fine to farm up till level 6. And then it's honestly a game of the junglers, where the junglers are choosing to path. Seb is in the bot side a lot before Sybil. Sybil's opting to go into his bot side jungle, so...
Seb is in the top lane at the moment. Sirius is at half health. Pabu is shoving in this wave. Here's the gank. Seb looking for it to decide not to.
I was thinking Seb was just shadowing for the counter gank there, but because Pabu has this huge wave, he really wants to shove into the turret, but curious as to whether they can actually dive this. Do they have the damage? Series... He has Colossus available, so if he does get the Bellabomb, we'll get a big shield. Does take a bad trade there.
The big minion wave
They're going to dive
as well. They are going to look for the dive. Maokai, one of the better turret divers this early on, because he can drop aggro with his W. See if he goes. Seb going to get the body bop off. So they use the shield. Nice. No, Sirius sticks to the turret. There goes Seb. Looking to jump in. He's taking up the turret first. Can use the W to break it, but he still takes damage. First blood picked up by Sirius. Palmer will trade. Is he going to die? Almost. One mortal attack from the turret would have been enough. He still gets the better end of that with double buff, but still, Seb didn't drop aggro with the W.
Yeah, that was so close. I'm pretty sure the red buff actually gave him aggro back after the W. Pabu couldn't get any damage in the small time frame he had there. Series uses the E early, and Abyss do actually really well to wait for the Colossus shield to time out before they actually commit to the dive. But yeah, Pabu does...
Oh, Sirius wants a kill here, getting him down very low. Pabu's trying to trade back with red and blue buff, but can he get out of this one? Cancelled auto. Sirius, he's waiting for his cooldowns. There's the W, but Flag and drag out. Sirius can't find the play.
Oh, unlucky. They do get the buff transfer from Seb to Pabu, and he narrowly avoids dying there. Almost all of the summoners will be all of the summoners blown in the top side of the map now that he's going to TP back to lane.
Sirius is going to be in some trouble though, because he's got to go back to base after that trade against Pabu. Was looking for the cheeky outplay, didn't get it.
Sybil sniping away the Wraith. Seb's about to walk into his Wraith camp, extremely disappointed.
Things out where the Maokai is. Luch now might be in some trouble here, but very difficult to gank a Vladimir this early on. Instead, they go straight towards the Maokai. Seb, no flash, does knock back the Zac, and Luch is being called over.
Sybil should have left the Wraith back. Then he would have had something to hit him with the hands with, but doesn't have anything to CC him with, so they can't actually push further, as they do take a nice trade in the bot lane.
Yeah, double root came out from Raid there, but he's able to dodge out the arrows thrown out by Blinky.
Both supports sitting on 3 pots. Raid uses his, obviously there, takes a bad trade, but... Oh, they are looking for the all-in right now. He does flash it. It's really nice.
Flash out of Blinky. Raid in some trouble. One more auto onto Rosie. Locks him down. Raid almost getting tapped by the passive of Braum as well, but he's going to back off. Braum forced to leave. Raid still standing and delivering with a big wave fighting back.
Oh, whiffs the Q. Blinky was standing there taking a big wave there. Jakey with the early exhaust. Predicted that they were going for the all-in. Rosie made it really obvious. They popped the W. Rakan just literally staunching Blinky. Does well to avoid it. Flashes out of the range, and they do look to turn it. A lot of summoners blown. That does fare better for the Abyss's bot lane as they progress towards 6. Blinky now no flash is a really easy target for Rosie, who still has flash to get on.
Seb is falling incredibly far behind though. 14 CS to 40. He's a level behind the Zac. Not looking good for him at the moment. Zac yet to go back to base though. Sybil has been farming until 6 minutes. Doesn't need to go back to the fountain. Pabu's going to slide over and try and stop Sybil from taking a few of those last Krugs. He's hit level 6. Series has done the same.
He's doing the showman camps, you know, doing the Wraiths, doing the Golems, because they give you tons of CS. They inflate your CS numbers compared to the Gromp and the Wolves sort of thing. So only a level behind, but on the scoreboard looks horrendous.
It certainly does at the moment. Top lane Pabu is zoning out Series here, which is a bit scary. 54 CS to 38. Both of them have a kill, but Series did die and dive coming up to the top lane.
And we do see another Infernal Drake as the first dragon of the game. It's happened once again. But as Abyss have reset on the map, Seb goes out on his bot side jungle, so he's going to path from bot to top. Series will probably have flash available once he gets up there, so potentially looking for a redive on the top lane. Pabu does have a small lead, but Seb is potentially too far behind to pull it off.
Let's see, he does finally tick over to level 5, as Sybil is 6 already.
Braum is mid, holding the way for Corky. What a team player.
Jake doing everything he can to keep his team in this game. Apparently it's completely even between Abyss as well as AV.
Corky picks up the Hex Drinker in the Vlad matchup, so fairly safe buy, very efficient into that matchup. Easy purchase means he can't get all in. They're looking for a dive in the bot lane. Blinky doesn't have flash, but Rosie misses the W.
No heal either. Raid, though, takes too many turret shots. Will drop aggro, and Luge jumps to the backlines with the Hemo play. Jake will be the next one to fall as well if they're not careful. Rosie tanking up the turret to keep things off. Raid has to be careful that he doesn't take aggro. Luge flashes away. He's going to die. Will eventually die here. But it's Jake that picks up the kill. 2-for-1 trade, and turret should fall.
And they actually opt into that bot lane dive before Rakan is 6, but it just looks so easy. They missed the Rakan W knock up onto Blinky despite him not having flash, but they still play out the dive. Because Corky had to reset in the mid lane, Luch pushes in. You saw Jakey was actually holding the mid wave for triple, so they see him on the map. Luch pushes in the wave and gets priority before the Braum can get bot. And it's effectively just like a 3 or 4v1 in the bot side of the map for the first part of that dive. They clean up Blinky, take the turret, and I assume they're going to look for the Infernal Dragon next.
And that's a big chunk of gold given over towards Raid as well. We saw the 650 pop up as the first turret falls for Abyss. Pabu doing absolutely fine as well. 72 to 58 in CS against Series. He's rotating down towards the bottom lane as AD carries will swap up towards top side of the map.
And Rosie does actually proc 6 on the wave prior to basing, so AV did flip the lanes. They put their bot side top, and Abyss matching them. But yeah, as I said, Rosie and Raid both have their ultis available now. They will absolutely destroy Blinky and JP in the 2v2 right now. They have the BF sword advantage to 2 long swords, as they're just going to push out the wave.
Yep, looking really good for Abyss at the moment.
And mid turret is really low.
That's ambitious from Sybil. Packages available for triple. They can make a play towards top side of the map. Rofel will be back up. Will be up, I should say, in the next 30 seconds.
And Zac is a very good champion at diving turrets, right? Like, he can engage from so far away, and the mid turret is very low, and it looks really juicy. But when you look at the lineup of Abyss, they have the TP on the Jarvan. He can TP to any of the wards in the river and flank, but Rakan and Vlad are both champions that are very hard to dive. As you see him going in again, he just uses the pull, the package. They get absolutely nothing out of that. If you try to dive a Rakan, he can counter-engage super easily and punish you. So it's going to be quite hard. Ooh.
Luge. Aggressive, man. Proto-belting straight into triple.
Yeah, so it's going to be very hard for them to dive this mid-turret. No way, but
still
Sybil keeps committing.
Luge has been ignit here. Triple's tanking up the turret. He's going to try and deliver him back him away from turret. Valk comes out as well. Behemo pull comes back up. Knock up landing on towards Sybil. Teleports are coming in as well. There's the Cataclysm from Pabu. And the Charm comes in from Rosie. They split the Boblets. Series kicking off this fight again. There's the big ultimate from Jake. Knock them all up. But Series just separates them. Ulti thrown out from the Maokai as well, trying to lock everyone down. This is an absolute disaster for AV suddenly as Maokai comes online. Raid joins the fight. Rosie gets a kill for himself, and Series falls on top of that. It's a 3-0 in favor of Abyss.
And that's absolutely what I was just saying. They keep looking for this dive onto the Vlad. His pull comes back up. They waste the Zac ulti, the ignite from triple onto the Vlad. Don't get the kill. He just pulls out, and then the rest of Abyss just collapse from the side lanes. Pabu TP's in. Rosie and Raid just run down from top lane, get a nice engage, and they clean up the mid turret for effectively for AV's play. This looks like, honestly, the Sybil from game 1 where he kept getting caught in the topside river. He kept being over-aggressive and got punished, and that's exactly what happened to him again there.
Just silly. They're forcing engages they shouldn't take, and this was the start. Sybil brings him back, but as soon as that happens, Abyss turn around.
And then, yeah, this flash. Zac actually has flash here, chooses to not flash away. Triple mildly wets himself there and flashes away from a Jarvan EQ that's not going to hit him, but as the collapse comes in, Rosie gets a knock up there, they kill them, and the Varus ulti comes in. Zai is coming from the top side of your map here, and they just get a double knock up onto the tanks. Gragas and Braum go down, burn his flashes anyway, and they just absolutely clean up the fight.
Leaving a kill onto Series in the backs. On the backside there, Series popping his ultimate, separating Abyss, which kind of helped them because Jake got a great knock up on the Braum.
And if you look at the summoner spells right now, across the board, there's very few summoner spells available, but AV certainly got the shorter end of the stick here. Vlad's is coming up very soon, and the bot lane of Abyss both have theirs, so they're going to threaten this top lane turret. Vlad is floating from the mid lane.
This is taking quite a bit of damage. Seb and Rosie are up here as well to try and take this down. Raid will keep auto-attacking his way away at it. Pabo is splitting bottom side of the map, so this would be a 4-on-5 if Avant tried to take a fight. They're currently 3,000 gold behind Abyss.
I'm questioning why Abyss keep threatening this top outer, because you have two objectives on the map that I would view as far more important. You have an Infernal Drake and you have a Rift Herald. You can push in with their deploy right now, with Pabo in the bottom lane, he gets priority, so he can push in and float towards mid, and everybody can float up towards the Rift Herald as they're looking for a pick mid. No flash.
Triple. Triple does have Valk available, but Luch is going to charge on in. There's the Valk being used. Luch still goes forward with a Hemoplague. One more transfusion should be enough. We'll get it shortly. Hemoplague does pop, gets a lot of health back. Can he survive this one? Goes into the pool. He needs to come up. Doesn't matter. Gets the ultimate popped. Now running towards the Nexus.
He's to the Nexus, and he gets picked up by the ulti there.
Series forced to throw out the ultimate to get that one, but they still trade 1-for-1.
Really deep dive out of Luch there, but he doesn't blow. He just blows the ghost. He doesn't blow his flash, but they do in the end pick up, because of that mid pressure, pick up this top outer. But yeah, as I was saying, they haven't opted in for setting up for this Rift Herald. Pabo used his priority in the bot lane to rotate towards mid and get that pick there, which was really nice. But they need to be looking for this Rift Herald, for this Infernal Drake, to start blowing up the game, as they're potentially Raid caught in the top lane.
I think he was charging for it, but Rosie is here.
Oh, interesting. And that was just a game of chicken between Blinky and Raid, because Blinky's running at him like, I'm gonna ult you, what are you gonna do? And then Raid's just sitting there waiting for him to cast it, because he knows he can just counter it with his own ulti. So
neither of
them pull the trigger. Yeah.
Instead, it's Jake. It's like, oh no!
Jake is.
Here comes Rakan. I need to stop him.
I have an ult too, guys. Look at me.
And absolutely nothing happens. That'll go on cooldown, but shouldn't affect them too much once the fight breaks out in the next minute.
And it looks like Abyss are opting into a 1-3-1. Oh, as Xayah does divert into the bot lane. Probably catching the wave, potentially picking up red buff. But yeah, they are deploying their bot lane onto the bot side of the map, so they are looking for this Infernal now. Pabu's still probably going to be winning the split.
It's got teleport up as well. Series is a level behind. And Seb is already starting on taking down this Rift Scuttle. Luch, meanwhile, in the mid lane, still using his Protobelt very aggressively, trying to chunk out Series, who is holding the mid lane.
I figured it out. He's a Protobelt Vlad. Every time it's off cooldown, he presses the button.
You gotta use your buttons when they're up, right? Can't just leave it down.
That's value. It's like Luch is the kind of player that takes time spent dead points, you know? Plays Karthus and he's just like, yeah, value.
Goodness sake.
As Pabu pushing in on the top side of the map, he's probably going to float towards mid now, potentially get another flank, as the rest of Abyss are they're just floating down the map, right? Pabu uses his priority and then rotates towards mid, and then Abyss with their priority in mid lane rotate down towards the Dragon. And it's just this very slow, very methodical way of picking up the objectives. They can control the vision. Pabu checking Rift Herald to see if AV are countering it. And they're going to pick up an Infernal for free. Yep,
Infernal being picked up by Abyss. Raid moves straight back down into the bottom lane. Teleports are available for both Series as well as Pabu, but only Series is split pushing at the moment. Pabu will return to the mid lane. As it stands, it's a 3,500 lead for Abyss with that single Infernal Dragon. They're in firm control of the match 15 minutes in.
And this is another game where all of the AD damage on the AV lineup is going to come from Blinky. Gragas, I guess, does... he's more of a magic damage tank and bruiser. Zac, obviously magic damage. And Corki, now that he does an 80-20 split on his auto attacks plus his rockets, he's more of like a 90% magic damage versus a 10 AD. So Blinky, in another one of these situations where he's the only AD damage into a lineup that can itemize against it fairly decently with the Jarvan and the Maokai.
It's going to be a difficult game for him. He's been performing all right recently, but... his front line keeps getting obliterated by the opponents today.
And the scariest thing about Abyss's comp right now is that the Vlad is ahead. He has the Protobelt. He's looking for it towards his next item. Once he starts picking that up, as I was saying, every time Rosie has flash, his engage is so easy. He has the Xayah for the... He has a huge dash to the Xayah, so he can flash, he can ulti, he can W, get on the back line, and they have so many divers in the Maokai, in the Jarvan, in the Vlad. And the Vlad especially is almost... As a Braum, you can't really do anything. Like, unless you can proc your passive onto the Vlad prior to him pulling, he's going to get his damage off anyway. He's going to just pull underneath you at your carries, and Triple and Blinky are going to have a really hard time just just living this game in team fights. So this game is kind of whoever pulls the trigger first, and in Abyss's situation right now, they have the lead, so the onus is on them to pull that trigger.
Let's see if they do. Bottom lane is still being sieged up by Blinky as well as Jake. Pabu does not want to defend this at the moment. Civil is waiting to try and get a gank off onto the Jarvan. Gonna get there, but Flag of Drake stops that.
That's OP. Buffering abilities is OP.
He'll get a turret for his troubles, and Riftail's drop mid lane. Going for that charge.
Yeah, nice reaction. It's crashing just before the wave. They're probably going to get this turret. Series can barrel the wave if he wants. Oh, they don't actually get it.
So they get chip damage.
They do get top.
Is already working on top lane turret. There's another wave that will crash after this one.
They are getting flanked by Zach. They will probably get this top lane turret as they're actually opting to go back towards mid. Fairly, yeah, interesting use to Riftail. They don't actually get a turret out of it. If Vlad, who doesn't do a lot of turret damage, isn't going to get the turret solo onto Corki, which he shouldn't.
They do get Pabu in a side lane all by himself to push for this turret. And they've chipped away at top inner and mid inner.
Yeah, they effectively got a turret's worth of damage across 3 different lanes. They got a chip bot, a chip mid, and a chip top. They don't get any of the instant gratification of a little bit of gold in your pocket to go back and buy with, but...
Set it up to knock down later.
Yeah.
Void Staff has been picked up by Luch already. And you see Raid picking up the components for his first Zeal item. Should be a rapid fire cannon from him.
2 pinks. I like it. Look at the pinks coming out of Abyss. That's popping. That's
good vision control.
Yeah, 2 carries with the pink wards. Don't have any pots. Don't have any refillable pots or an extra dagger or anything like that. Opting for the vision control. Baron is spawning for in another minute and a half. Neither team really has that good of a Baron. In this meta, I guess. Interestingly enough, I don't think Kalista actually does Baron very well. She has very good secure, but in this meta with a lot of tanks running around, like tank jungles, tank tops, and tank supports, Baron doesn't actually get taken away that quickly. Until the meta does a bit of a swing towards hyper carries, I think that won't be around for too long.
Let's see. Still 90 minutes into the match only. Baron spawns in a minute. Abyss just about 3,000 gold up. So it's not that big of a lead to try and sneak a Baron away from AV. They're still in this match. You can take a look at the gold leads at the moment. It's just spread out across the rift. Big advantage in the mid lane where 1,000 is in their favor, and the bottom lane where it's about 1,000 there for Raid as well. They're going for an engage here. That's a flag drag. It's a cataclysm from Pabu. Blinky's forced to flash out of it.
Probably get the turret off that. They do waste the Baron. Oh, that's
Jake going forward with Sybil, timing it perfectly against Raid. He's going to finally pop the ultimate. That still gets delivered into the back lines. Will finally jump out. Luch now in with the team. They kill Blinky to kickstart this fight. AV still want to go for it. They engage on towards Luch, very low, can't get into the Sanguine pool in time. Rosie jumps in, gets a double knockup. Raid still kiting this one back. Good damage under Jake. Very low health pass on Pabu. Sybil jumps in again, gets a 3-man knockout. A triple, incredibly healthy. Valks on their face, gets the quadra kill off the back of that as well.
And that was an absolutely huge out of triple there. Sybil gets the engage off the back of Jakey, flashing in with the Brawl multi that we saw him not care too much about in the top lane prior to that, but they pick up the win. Triple Valks over people in that fight. Using his W for damage, picks up all of the kills, and they're looking at the Baron already.
Yeah, they want to try and take this one. Series and Sybil have to split this tanking. They both heal up due to their passives, so let's see if they can take it in time.
Yeah, that's an easy Baron. They're tanking up. Triple can also walk forward as he is now. They have enough health pool shared between them to pick this one up, and that's an absolutely huge swing for AV. As Jakey was flashing in, I was like, oh my god, like that was very unexpected, and I didn't think that was a winning fight for them. But they did get on Raid, who didn't ulti any of the initial CC, so he got knocked up. He got the front line onto him, as we're going to see in a moment. They do get the flash out of Blinky initially, right? Pabu comes in from the top side of the map, burns Blinky's flash, and then Sybil, as you see from the left side of the screen, sorry. Xayah doesn't get her ulti off. She gets hit by the Braum knockup, the Zac knockup. Sybil doesn't take anyone with him, but Triple is really the all-star of this fight as it goes on fairly slowly, honestly. Sybil gets a couple of engages off over the course of the fight. The Rakan ulti W is a big point for Abyss lineup, and it didn't do too much, but here we go. With this last engage coming in right here, Triple, the Zaki there, 3-man knockup, Triple, Valks over them, gets a bunch of damage, and then, just cleans up the fight. And And Zach passes, as we see, and
Yeah, they're going for another fight here. It's going to be Abyss to try to kick this one off. Pabu with a 4-man Cataclysm. They lock down Rosie and they get the first kill of the fight. Blinky already dead. Seb will fall shortly after Luge with a 3-man human play. But Triple again. Look at Triple.
Oh,
He's
no.
untouched. Big double kill being picked up by Raid though. Sybil's in some trouble. And this one's going to turn back in Abyss's favor. Raid cleans up the team fight.
We come out of the replay and AV are already fighting with their Baron. And the entire time we saw Raid was just free hitting in the backline on the Xayah. They'd obviously engaged the fight prior and he didn't have to use his ulti for anything. And he was just sitting there waiting for a piece of CC to be blown his way. To be flown his way, rather. And then he just ultis, cleans up, nice root out of him, and just absolutely demolishes AV. They immediately, like, Abyss was slowly winning this game, and then AV with a huge swing with the Baron play, right? And now they've just completely lost the Baron, and it's just swung back into Abyss's favor. And
Triple in that fight, he got a bit high for you. It looked like he was being untouched again. Valk's in and gets destroyed.
He's a Valk Corky.
A Valk Corky main? Well, he's got no exhaust, so he can't be a package Corky.
Yeah, yeah. He, in the game, not yesterday, sorry, the last week with the AV into Dial was where they picked up the win in the first game. Oh, as we actually see. A pick onto Sybil, who brings Seb into the backline. AV think it's a good fight for them. He is a package Corky as he does bring it in from the top side of the map. Nice Cataclysm. Blinky dies because he has no flash, but you see on the top side of your screen, look at Raid. He's just hitting people. His feathers are going through. Vlad gets a huge chunk of damage off there. Ultis. Roots everyone there. They all just get immediately cleaned up by the combo with the Jarvan. Pabu dies to a cannon minion, I think, but unlucky for him. He's the necessary sacrifice for Abyss to pull out the victory there, and they get a free Earth Dragon for themselves.
So I was wrong there. He didn't. Wow, that's 3 wards in one bush.
They don't like wards in there.
He didn't Valk in there. He just casually strolled into all the crowd patrol being thrown his way.
Yeah.
A good route coming out from Raid there. Kept the team fighting dreams alive for Abyss. He's gone back, picked up an extra for himself. Now trying to defend mid lane. Ooh. Zach going for the engage. Sybil doesn't land on top of them. Check it. Take out the turret.
Big chunk. And because they've put Luch in the side lane and he doesn't have TP, interesting choice. He's going to push in another wave and then probably look to flank, but it does give this window where AV have the ability to push in the mid lane, get that chunk on the turret. Oh, they do burn the... That's
Flag and drag, high priority, but they send Seb back into the team. That's the Maokai though, who pops the ultimate straight away. Jake with a great root. Triple this time though. He's been jumped off by Rosie, forced the Valk away. Raid again using the ultimate very early, locks down Series. Sybil will kill Seb, and it will be Series that falls shortly after. Zach jumping in again, looking for another big knock-up. Double kill, picked up by Raid. And Avant still trying to run away from this. Luch is full health. We'll get a blood rush shortly. Protobelt's on their face. Blinky's going to flash away. We'll take another damage. Knock up from Rosie. Blast cone's there. Blinky gets out safely.
And that snipe from Jake there to hit him with a Q was absolutely huge, as Corky's possibly going to be found by Jarvan on the bot side of the map.
Finds Pabu. Let's see what happens. Pabu's got no mana, taking auto attacks from Triple. Here come the Krugs though. Now Rosie's in the pit. Gets a big knock up. We'll get a shield for that too. Luch wants to join. Rosie backs out. And Luch flashes on him. Shut down for the Vladimir.
And AV saw, as I was saying, Luch was split pushing on the top side of the map. Vlad doesn't do turret damage, so he doesn't want to stay in the top side, and he has no TP. So AV look for the engage. Sybil goes in under the inner turret with Series, but they don't win the fight hard enough initially. And then on the back end of that, Abyss are just they have a comp with like the follow-up CC to be able to keep them sticking around, right? They're kind of playing with an AV to keep them interested whilst Luch comes for that big flank. They win the fight. And then, yeah, they're looking in good state right now. They have a 2k gold lead.
They have that much gold at the moment with 2 dragons. Mountain and Infernal has been picked up by Abyss. 4 turrets to 2 as well, 17-3 in kills. Rabadon's Death Cap has been picked up by Luch. It's a very strong Vladimir at the moment.
Big burst going to be coming out of him if they get onto the backline in this fight.
And there's a straight Maw of Malmortius picked up by Ray, which we said makes a lot of sense. There's so much magic damage coming out from AV, even from Blinky, you would say. Thanks to his W.
But I mean, when you look at how the fights are breaking out in the front to back, Raid is never going to be hit by Blinky, and if he is, at that stage, Abyss have already lost the fight, right? So he's itemizing for the front line, for the Zac, the Gragas, and the Corki. He doesn't want to be blown up initially. He is 7-1 right now, so could have potentially gone for a more aggressive build, but goes for the safety net of that Maw. As Rosie, interestingly, actually went for the Locket first. It is a good item, especially into all the AP that AV have that we were just talking about. But in a comp with such good engage and backline dive, I would have liked to see a Righteous Glory. It just gives you so much access to the backline, gives you so much potential. Rakan can already basically flash, dash, and and ulti a whole screen's length, and it just gives you the ability to chase people down. Gives you more pick potential as AV are walking up the river to secure Baron vision.
Yeah, they've got a minute till Baron comes back up, and they have a big wave pushing towards top side of the map. Abyss say, well, if you want to go there, we'll push down mid lane. They regained vision over the river.
It's too early.
Oh, cut him off.
Yeah, Baron is up in 45 seconds. It's too early for AV to commit the 5 players all the way up the river because they give Abyss access to the mid lane. Corki's only just basing now. They will get a small chunk on this turret if they choose to get it.
Let's see if they go for it.
Corki has package.
There. As mentioned, Triple does have the package and is ready for a fight. If they try to take one, Knight's Vow was picked up as well by his support Jake and put straight on top of Triple.
They heard the alarm of the package and then just ran away from the mid lane. Didn't want anything to do with the package Corki. Triple, as you so aptly described him.
And Abyss, again, they're in the lead, but they're taking the game very slow. AV only 2,000 gold behind, so they're not out of the match yet. Triple is huge, though. 8-4-3.
They're sitting in this bush looking for a pick, but AV shouldn't face check this. They should know. You see the pings coming out. They all
say that, but then they charm Triple. He's got the package, but he dies with it up. Jake's going to be the next one to fall. Double kill for Raid.
They have the vision in the pit. They have the Scuttle Crab, the pink up the river, and the vision in the topside jungle for Abyss. So AV had no reason to face check that. They already pinged it, so they had an inkling that they were there, but Triple just face checks it anyway, as does Jakey. They get caught in the Rakan combo and immediately burst, and Luch.
Yeah, looking for a fight here. Palmer drops to the wall. Seb aborts Baron. What? He wants to fight his head. Locks down Series with the ultimate. He's going to body bump over towards the Krugs. Gives him a little bit of a high five, and he has to get back to base. But Abyss march straight back towards the pit.
And the delay is actually pretty big. Abyss use a lot of their ultis in terms of the fight, and Baron does reset, so Sybil has no friends around, so yeah, Luch is just going to push him out, and he can't do anything about it.
Oh, that hurts. He's forced to jump away. Now Abyss get a free Baron for themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, you said that Seb actually aborted Baron. They all went over the wall. Potentially a risky choice if Luch likes to sit over that wall. That's now 2 games in a row. He did it on the Kassadin, and now he's done it on the Vlad. Vlad very safe to be able to do it, I guess. He has the pull, so forces Sybil away. No chance for a steal, and Blinky looking to pick himself up a cheeky dragon.
Yep, consolation prize here for Blinky.
Consolation dragon for the story of the series. Not AV series, but the AV versus Abyss series.
4,000 gold lead now for Abyss with Baron buff to work with for the next few minutes.
And Raid is a very defensive play. Opts in for the QSS on top of them all. He has a lot of magic resist for an AD carry and the Vamp Scepter.
Just wants to be able to deal with the front line as well as the threat from the burst of Triple. And I mean, it's great all around when you look at all the magic damage coming out from AV. Everyone on the team does something to do with magical damage.
And as we said, Blinky's fallen behind. He's 0-3-6, only sitting on 2 3/4 of an item. Almost has the completed Last Whisper there, but isn't going to be doing any damage to him. So he's itemizing for the front line as Abyss are just setting up. They're just deathballing now. They have the engage combo. Rakan is looking. He does have flash actually. Oh, here we go.
Oh, he goes in, gets a big charm, and Flag and Drag knocks 3 up. Triple's forced to flash away from the fight. Rosie will fall due to Titan Arrow. Luch is taking up the turret now. Pabu deep in the back lines will get a kill onto Triple. The star AP carry at the moment for Avant. Sybil's going to get knocked back. Blinky's trying to run away from a Vladimir, but that's a Hemo playing on top of him. And Ray chucks a feather in his face, and that's all she wrote. Abyss pick up an ace over Avant Gaming.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were saying at how these two team comps interact. They're both just deathball. They both want to get the engage, and it's whoever pulls the trigger first. And with this gold lead, Abyss just march into the bot lane, 5-man. Rosie doesn't even use his flash, gets a big engage, followed up by the Vlad, by the Jarvan, by the Maokai.
With that, Abyss, I mean, first game was such a one-sided affair. Same for game 2, went in AV's favor. This match, a little bit of a back and forth, but Abyss pick up the victory. They go 2-1 over AV.
Absolutely, and all of the analysts, me included, you included, and the desk, everyone gets it wrong. Oh, Pabu, I hate that he just dabbed. What is he doing? Classic high schooler, mate. Classic high schooler right there. He's very happy with the win. I can hear him screaming outside the door. And yeah, Abyss. Very nice game out of them there.
Very strong game coming out from Abyss. Taking down AV 2-1 with game number 3. AV swung the gold lead back. They had a big team fight, picked up Baron. And Triple was absolutely huge.
But he had a complete opposite in, a complete reversal in the fights. He had the the fight that netted them the Baron in the mid lane, he picked up that huge play, and then they pick up the Baron off the back of it. But then immediately it cuts to the bot lane. They're already setting up for this other team fight. He's in the thick of it, gets caught in a lot of CC. Raiders just free hitting. They immediately throw their lead that they got. Yeah, it feels that's actually a very rough game for AV to lose in that situation. You know you're in a position to win. You have the Baron. All you have to do is set up bot side, look to take the turrets and snowball that advantage. But then, yeah, immediately thrown, and Abyss use that to their advantage.
Yeah, and it's a big win for Abyss. They take down AV 2-1. But for now, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thanks so much, Fish. And that is going to be Abyss Esports picking up a 2-1 victory over Avant Gaming. It didn't look easy. I mean, this game boiled up to a point where team fights were just going left, right, and center. They were throwing haymakers at each other. But in the end, I mean, the combination of Jarvan as well as Vladimir turns out to be king.
Yeah, it was actually, it was like one of those games where you can't pick the ending, from the first 15 or so minutes. It was quite exciting to watch, I guess. There are definitely, some mistakes that probably both teams are a little bit unhappy about. But, actually, congratulations to Abyss. They definitely performed, the best on the day.
I think for Abyss, it's a huge win. I mean, coming into this, I thought they were going to lose 2-0. You thought they were going to lose 2-1. And I think, if I can remember correctly, I think it was around 70 to 80% of the people at home also thought they were going to lose. And they need this to be able to fight in that gauntlet spot that they so desperately want as well. So even though they did make mistakes and they might be a little unhappy, they're not going to worry about that for tonight or tomorrow. They're just going to celebrate.
But let's talk about mistakes for a little bit, because this series to me was actually like a conglomerate of like really, really strange decision making, and none stranger than repetitively diving of Vladimir mid lane over and over again.
Yeah, Luch sort of just like styles on them with the donuts, walking around in circles. He gets hit by the ult, but he just W's out, and gives enough time for Pabu to port in. Series is way too late to this fight. Pabu blows both of their flashes. He cataclysms in, and his team collapses faster. So Rosie gets in, charms everyone, and then it just turns into sort of this elongated fight that Seb does really well to get that ultimate, and then another good knockup from Pabu. And this is just like where we say that the tanks and all these CC sort of champions just do a lot better. So this is what really got Abyss ahead, and it gave them the opening to the game.
That, for the lack of a better term, felt like a solo queue fight. It just went on and on and on. And before I even get into it, I want to say at least Sybil hit everything on Zach. All right. They put up some big words before saying Sybil was the only good Zach player on the server, and he missed his E short. That's dodgeable. He hit the Q, he hit the ult. Good on him. Okay, back to the actual fight. It just felt like they were doing the wrong thing. They're trying to dive this very sustainable team comp. Vlad's just going to, for a long fight that's going to go for what felt like 30 seconds, Vlad's happy. He's going to take all his health back. He's just going to keep dealing out a good amount of damage. Abyss are rotating fast. It feels like their macro they went to a better level than they have been for a while with their macro there. And that set the tone of the match to me, because while you guys are right and the game was very just sort of throw heavy, all right, that's a bit rude to describe it, but
Baseball.
throw heavy.
It was a game of baseball.
That was like, Abyss had control of it for the first 15 to 20 minutes before that sort of started happening. And that's a good sign for them.
I mean, let's be real. They had control for like the whole game, randomly threw it once, and then got it back.
So let's watch it. I mean, let's just stop talking about it. I mean, on the back end of triple, Avant's mid lane, they actually have a good team fight, and it is actually Abyss one more time trying to pull the trigger, Jim.
Yeah, so, this is, T-Gun's replay, but we do see that, they come forward and,
Thanks, mate.
Avant have a really good engage from Zach over the wall there, and, it's Abyss slowly sort of start kiting out, and they land a good route from Xayah. She gets out of the fight, but, another good engage from Sybil. Series lands his first ability of the fight, and he lands some CC. Rosie does the best he can to try and, either disrupt the chase, but, Triple just chases forever.
Sybil with another great E as well, because the reason I want to highlight this, okay, because it feels like I'm beating a dead horse, is before we went in, you guys were harping on about how Pinch might have been being too brutal on other people.
Yep.
Now, Zach, I do agree, actually. He isn't probably the best jungle pick anymore, at least not by a far margin. You have Cho'Gath, Sejuani, Maokai, all these other things. But when you're able to hit 3 slingshots throughout a fight, he feels so oppressive as a team. And Triple comes through and cleans up the fight. But if I was to highlight one person, that would be Sybil, because he's the one that set it up and allowed him to just sort of control the end of that fight.
Yeah, and and his team had like complete confidence in him to land those E's. So it's not that his coach says he's the best Zach. It's obviously his team thinks so as well.
Yeah, it certainly is confidence to be able to pick that one up. However, even though they got Baron off that play, as they're marching it down bottom lane, they just give it back. It's a present. I don't care who takes this replay. One of you guys figure it out.
This is the part where I might criticize Sybil, because this is not the only time he man ultis a Maokai towards his team. What are you doing? That is not the person you want to bring to your team. To their credit, they were doing it without Vlad being there, so the fight goes from a Pabu, the sacrificial lamb, going in for a two-man knock-up, giving himself to the enemies. So, while it was the right idea from AV, it was just poor execution. They were trying to fight before Abyss could get there as a team, but didn't execute on the key targets, brought the wrong people back towards the team, and like you said, it's a game of baseball, and gave the ball back to Abyss.
Yeah, no, and the best thing about watching that fight is that you see Xayah sort of skirting through the edges, having a really good ultimate and getting a nice route down, and then as well, Luch comes slightly late, I want to say, to the fight, but that means that everyone's used their CC and he gets into the fight for free. I think he landed like a 4-man ultimate or something, and he just cleans up.
And Luch in this game was like that fashionable person. Like, he was never on time. He was a little bit edgy, always a little bit late. He rocked up in cool clothing. But when he got there, he had an impact like immediately in all of these team fights. And I think that the ability to have side lane pressure, Corki certainly could not go with him once he had picked up the Void Staff. So good itemization. But in team fights, the Tariks and the Vladimirs seem to be coming back as these niche sustained damage, sustained picks throughout how long these team fights are going.
Yeah, so as like the team fight gets longer and longer, and we say that these tank champions, that they're just basically like setting their stopwatch, being like, all right, so I've used my first CC ability, 5, 4, 3, and they do it again, right? Champions like Vlad are really good for that because he just cycles through his abilities and then again and again, and he just does so much damage over a long team fight.
Yeah, and we were even talking about his items upstairs, thinking about why didn't he get a Spirit Visage when these team fights are just running forever. You basically heal your health back up every 15 seconds on him, but instead he earned towards just more damage items, and I want to know why you think he would do that.
Oh, I mean, he did a lot of damage and it looked pretty cool. He styled on them a little bit. You do have to like think that a Spirit Visage has nice synergy on the Vladimir, and I guess like 4 magic damage champions as well. That might have been a nice pickup. I'm not going to criticize Luch too much on his build. Obviously, as you can see, he did a truckload of damage. And in true Luch fashion, he just farmed the entire game. 9 CS per minute, not too shabby.
He's going to be upset he didn't have 10.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't too bad, but I want to talk about Triple's pick because Triple is kind of a rock for his team. And Corki, when there was a lot of squishy targets running around, when the jungler was a little bit squishy as well, was going things like Exhaust, Trinity Force, into the Static Shift, and we saw it all Rift Rivals, was able to just like one combo champions. Now that tanks are back and how easy itemization is towards, magic resistance, is Corki's reign of mid lane terror over?
I mean, I feel like he always comes in phases, right? And people remember that there are ways to play around him, and there are champions that can beat him. And maybe it's come back to that cycle. Maybe Triple just didn't have a great game. It is very hard for him with such an expensive build compared to the cheaper builds of the tanks. To be relevant as early, I think.
I will say, while it's hard for him, and while he is that sort of bursty mage to a lot of times, he does have a lot of sustained damage, especially if he lets his rockets build up before fights. So we might still see him hang around for a bit because sustained damage is great against the tanks. But again, it just comes back to itemization and how expensive is that build? Is he going to be able to get there before the tanks win the game?
See, the thing I've always found strange, and maybe you guys have more insight to this than me, but when you have a champion like, Jax or Corki or even sometimes Cogmore in these late game scenarios against tanks, sure, they are like hyper carries and they get a lot of damage out, but it's very hard to get penetration items on them. So if resistances are the aim of the game, it does become hard to start shredding through.
Even though it's hard to shred through, like I said, he just has a lot of sustained damage. So generally when I think about how resistances deal with champions, it's more like they stop you from being blown up. They stop any bursty champion from dealing with you. Whereas sustained damage, especially from Corki, it does tend to just build up over time, and he can get, especially now with the AP change on him, he can get something like a Void Staff and make use of it. Might not be great, but it's still a workable solution.
Yeah, so I think that one of the problems with Corki is that his item build is really quite linear. He has to get the Trinity Force.
Yeah.
He almost will always go on Infinity Edge to get the 2 Zeal items, and then it leaves. He does go Sork Shoes, so that gives him some penetration. And then the last item we sometimes see go for the Maw, sometimes the Void Staff. Occasionally you see the Nutty solo queue player who ends up with like a Leandries or something.
Yep.
So there is like some options for penetration, but he doesn't have your typical 80 carry. You can go like a third item Last Whisper or something. So yeah, in that respect, it can be hard to itemize against tanks.
And we saw the damage graphs up there, and that tells a story of a lot of sustained fights to me, because there were pretty even graphs across the board. It wasn't like one person exploding, although Luch did do a lot of work for his team. I know you wanted to speak about Raid, Jish, because you said he quietly had a pretty impressive game on the back end of that.
So it's like when you listen to the casters and they're all screaming about Luch landing his big, or like Jarvan going in on like from Pabu, and I'm just like looking at this like KDA ticket just being like, oh yeah, 9, 1, and 7 or something. Like this guy is like being piled on from all these tanks and stuff, and and everyone's collapsing on him. And yeah, he just had like a really good performance. I'm not saying he like hard carried or anything. Obviously, like you could probably push it to other players, but he played really well, and Xayah seems to be a champion he's quite comfortable on.
Yeah, I'd say he absolutely filled his role, which was just don't die. Just get out. You have people diving on you. As long as you time your Xayah ult really well and get help from the Rakan, get Rosie to help heal you instead of engage in a lot of the fights, you're going to get out of those fights and you're going to deal the damage that you need to do. So kudos to him. I think he actually absolutely did have a great game. And it just shows in his score, in his damage, in every facet of stats, he's done well.
Yeah, no, he has played. He had played a really really good game. Sorry. And I think that we sort of mentioned earlier that the Avant bottom lane is quite a good, solid lane, and Abyss don't have maybe the strongest history to back up their bot lane, but I think today they definitely played really well.
Yeah, they're just barely tall enough to take the ride, apparently.
So Abyss pick up the win. Where to next for AV? That's their only game for this Super Week. Next week, however, they go up against Team Regicide as well as the Chiefs. So what is this team now looking towards, and what do they need to fix to have a crack against, Regicide and your boys?
I think that they probably have a bit to review. Obviously, getting 3 games is always nicer when you have more footage to go back through and learn from. But I think that it's probably just on those fundamentals. Like a lot of their laning looked okay, and that like they were moving around alright, but it was decision making on like when they were going to go for those fights, and then how they were engaging, re-engaging, things like that. And it looked like that when they're so tunneled on these team fight compositions, they really need to like fine tune that a little bit, I think.
Yeah. Just a quick question: is it Regicide and then Chiefs, or is it vice versa? Well, they just need to take the Regicide game as sort of a confidence builder. It's a rude thing to say, sure, but when you're Avant, you do feel like you're better than them, and if they get that clean 2-0, they can go back, they can sort of mentally reset and say...
Don't you feel like you're better than Abyss as well, though? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying, is you have to go back and say the Abyss game is an outlier. That happens every now and then. Obviously, not something you look forward to or want to happen, but it is going to happen. So they need to just move on from it and prepare for the Chiefs.
Well, they have to hope it's an outlier, because Abyss was able to pick up a 2-1 victory. Pretty convincing in the end. However, guys, that is only our first game of tonight. Don't go anywhere, because after this short break, we'll be back with Team Regicide taking on Sin Gaming.
Looking to jump in. He's taking up the turret first. Can use the W to break it, but he still takes damage. First blood picked up by Series. Series kicking off this fight again. There's the big ultimate from Jake. Knock them all up, but Series just separates them. Ulti thrown out from the Maokai as well, trying to lock everyone down. This is an absolute disaster for AV suddenly as Maokai comes online. Raid joins the fight. Rosie gets a kill for himself as Series falls on top of that. It's a 3-0 in favor of Abyss. AV still want to go for it. They engage up towards Luch, very low, can't get into Sanguine Pool in time. Rosie jumps in, gets a double knockup. Raid still finding this one back. Good damage onto Jake. Very low health bars on Pabu. Sybil jumps in again, gets a 3-man knockup. And Triple, incredibly healthy. Falc's on their face, gets the quadra kill off the back of that as well. They lock down Rosie and they get the first kill of the fight. Blinky already dead. Sebel falls shortly after Luch with a 3-man human play. But Triple again. Look at Triple. He's untouched. Big double kill being picked up by Raid though. Sybil's in some trouble, and this one's going to turn back in Abyss's favor. Raid cleans up the team fight. Triple spots to flash away from the fight. Rosie will fall due to Titan Arrow. Luch is taking up the turret now. Pabu deep in the back lines will get a kill onto Triple. The start AP carry at the moment for Avant. Sybil's going to get knocked back. Blinky's trying to run away from a Vladimir, but that's a Hemo playing on top of him. Raid chucks a feather in his face, and that's all she wrote. Abyss pick up an ace over Avant Gaming. First game was such a one-sided affair. Same for game 2, went in AV's favor. This match, a little bit of a back and forth, but Abyss pick up the victory. They go 2-1 over AV.
Whilst an OPL game lasts about 30 minutes, it's generally won from a series of plays that only last a few. Hi guys, I'm Jake Spawn Tiberi, and welcome to the War Room. We created the War Room to dive deeper into set plays, high-level macro, and solid team communication. But sometimes you just have to sit back and watch people get outplayed.
double kill. Rampage.
In Game 2 of Regicide versus the Chiefs, Regicide had fallen down 4,000 gold in the first 11 minutes. Desperate to fight back, they get a pick on Chief support Ejim in the river before trying to force it down mid. This is the right play. With only arrow down on Chenny's Ash, and in a 3v2 situation, Regicide should have the advantage. However, due to some micro mistakes, Swiffer is able to capitalize, and along with some help from his Shadow Spooks, pick up 3 clean kills. As Fade and Decoy approach mid, Swiffer cuts off the choke with Cassiopeia's Miasma. This forces Fade to take an incredible amount of damage, and burn his flash before committing. Notice how Fade also tries to weave in an auto attack after his body slam. This allows Swiffer to flash the cast. Now it's time for the Chiefs duo to go aggressive. Swiffer lands a 3-man Cassiopeia ult, stunning all Regicide members, while Spooks tags Fade with a Sonic Wave Resignating Strike combo to pick up the first kill. Spooks then ward hops behind Suman's Victor, Dragon Rage kicking him back towards his turret, and weaves in an extra auto attack for the double. The Chiefs duo then turn their attention to the lowest priority target in Decoy's Brawn, where Swiffer picks up the final kill. This whole time, Swiffer was able to keep up Noxious Blast Poison, allowing him to spam Twin Fangs. This play was enough to help secure the victory, pick up number 4 on this week's Penta, and frankly, just look sick. Here Regicide took a shot at slaying the Oceanic Kings, but ended up falling on their own sword. That's it for the War Room. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.